earlier today. For those of you who have heard the introduction, just bear with us because we want any newcomers to feel just as welcome. My name is Patricia DeMack. I'm a member of Rotary Burlington Lakeshore. I'm part of the District Training Committee and the co-chair of this event. On behalf of my co-chair, Suzanne Zvinden, and the rest of the training committee, we welcome you all. We have worked hard to pull great speakers together for your training and enlightenment during this past week, and for going forward, of course. Please remember that any presenters you have enjoyed in this past week are all volunteers and spend a huge amount of personal time preparing for this event. Don't forget to thank them. Without them, obviously, we could not provide these training sessions. On the training committee, we are dedicated to enlightening Rotarians in all avenues of service. If you have any interest in being part of the training committee, we are always looking for Rotarians who are passionate about sharing their knowledge of Rotary. Please let us know if you are interested. So thank you for signing up for this session and the previous PR 101. They have both been recorded. This one's being recorded, so you can watch it again on demand. And please let your fellow club members know that they can see it anytime also. You'll find the link to all recorded sessions on the district website on the CLT landing page. So this afternoon, it is our pleasure to hear from James Weber, who's accompanying District Public Relations Chair Dan Dubreuil. He'll give you more information, or they'll give you more information about their background shortly. First, I'll just go over a couple of house rules that you should know. Please ensure no background noise and remain muted during the session unless asking a question. Most of the questions will be deferred to the end of the meeting. So in the meantime, you can type them into the chat box, please, and we'll collate them and ask them at the end. If there's time, we may do a live Q&A, and we'll announce that depending on the time towards the end of the session. Remember, all the other sessions this week have been recorded, and as I mentioned, they're on the district website. For those of you who are attending the closing plenary, you'll leave this meeting and then get ready to log in on the new link that you would have been given if you registered for closing plenary. And it's not too late to sign up for that if you wish. So thanks for your attention to these little house rules. And I'm happy to hand it over to you, James.
Thank you, Patricia. So again, welcome everybody. Obviously, from our presentation earlier, we covered a lot of details for public relations and ways that you can promote your Rotary Club and promote the Rotary brand. So today we're going to be discussing promoting Rotary through Facebook. So we'll be focusing on that sole social media platform. Obviously, we covered some of Facebook in our last presentation, but we really want to dive into more of what Facebook has to offer for your Rotary Club. So the topics we're going to be covering today, why Facebook is essential communication tool for your club, how to create posts that break through the center, how club members can accelerate your success Facebook posts, and how to measure the impact of your posts through analytics. So to introduce myself again, for some newcomers, my name is James Weber. I have been a Rotarian for a few months, just a little bit over 8 months. I'm loving every step of the way and always looking forward to my next journey within Rotary. I'm a member of the Rotary Passport Club South, Vice President and Treasurer-elect of the Rotaract Club of Halton, co-chairperson of the District 70-80 Environment Committee, and member of the District 70-80 Public Relations Committee. Outside of Rotary, I work in the insurance industry, and my interests include playing chess, golfing, and boxing. And now over to Dan.
Thanks, James. I'm with Rotary Burlington North. I'm the Director of PR for our district. I've been Rotarian for about 2 years, been retired for about 3 years. So Rotary has become my full-time job, but I'm not complaining. I actually quite like it a lot. It keeps me busy, especially during this pandemic when there's not a heck of a lot to do. So when I'm not doing Rotary stuff, I enjoy travel, skiing, guitar, singing, napping, and my dogs, and of course my family as well. I'm still married with my wife Barb. I've got 2 children, both living away from home. So we're seeing them either virtually or having lots of phone calls these days.
Thanks, Dan. So again, just to reiterate what Patricia said in the beginning, questions please ask in the chat, and if we have time, we will address them at the end of the session. Our presentation earlier this morning, we had some really great questions, so we're really looking forward to see what everyone has to ask, and hopefully we can clear the air if anything is unclear to anyone. And again, as earlier today, a PDF of today's presentation will be available on the PR page of the District 7080 website, and a copy of the webinar will be posted to the district's YouTube channel. So this is being live recorded. So to start, a lot of you may already know about Facebook, have a Facebook account, maybe run your club's Facebook account. But today we're really going to be giving you details on how you can better your Facebook group or your Facebook club account, and ways in which you can really grow your club's presence on Facebook, as well as a Rotary brand in general. So why Facebook is an essential communication tool. So as we covered earlier earlier today in the meeting, Facebook is widely used from all demographics. Doesn't matter where you're from 18 to 24, again, a senior, 55 plus, it doesn't matter. Facebook is widely used, and in that case, it's a very strong tool that can be used to communicate with your audience, especially in the time of the coronavirus pandemic. Many people are on Facebook a lot. And so it's really important to have a strong presence on Facebook so that you can actually reach a target audience of those who may not know what Rotary is. So why is it important to get Facebook followers? Obviously, this allows you to get your message out, but it's not just those people that are following your Facebook page. You'd actually be surprised how many people can end up viewing your posts because they are friends of your followers. So this is if your friends choose to share your post or not, their followers can still see your post as well. So here we have the reach of social networks, and the first blue circle highlighted here, this is your direct page. So it's people that follow your Facebook page. So you can, as you can see, it's obviously a very wide net. But as mentioned, it extends further than that. So people that know people that follow your page are also able to view your content that you share on that page. So that's why it's very important to really understand, how widely you can cast a net if you're sending a communication, a club communication, or just sharing a Facebook post about a Rotary event that your club is doing. Now over to Dan.
Thanks, James. Yeah, so it's, getting followers is important. Part of the secret of getting followers is creating content that people want to read. It's as simple as that. That's how Facebook has been made. Facebook business model is all about delivering content that's relevant to its users. When it stops doing that, people are going to start to log off of Facebook. So we can suspect that it'll continue to be important going forward. Okay, first we're going to talk a little bit about Facebook's algorithm. So you probably heard that, or perhaps you've heard that name or that word bounced around a little bit. Algorithm is basically the software, behind the curtain, if you will, that dictates which posts Facebook shares to its users, and more specifically, which post that you put up on your page gets shared to your followers. Okay, so we're going to spend a bit of time talking about the algorithm. The algorithm does change. I mean, it changes probably every year or two. They tweak it. They're constantly trying to refine it and make it better for various reasons, and we'll talk about what that means in a second or two. But at the end of the day, the algorithm ensures what users see is most relevant to them. Okay. So we're going to kind of untap that secret. We talked about that this morning in terms, if you have an average post, if you put a post on your club's Facebook page, and it's not a bad post, it's not a great post. The reality is only, 5 out of 100 of your followers are actually going to see that post land on their feed. 95 of those 100 followers will not see that post unless they decide to actually go to your page. And most people don't really do that because they have the option of going to hundreds of friends and business pages, and who's got the time of the day to do that? We just want to see the good feeds or posts land in our feed. So why is it just 5%? Well, way back in time, 10 years ago, it used to be much higher than that. But the reality is Facebook is an advertising company. They want you to spend money to boost your post or to advertise your post to get the message out. Because when you do that, it makes Facebook, profitable, and that's basically their business model, is to make money for their shareholders. So that's the number one reason why the organic reach of most posts today is actually pretty low. Number two is there's lots of competition. So let's say I've got 200 friends on Facebook and I follow 5 or 6 different Rotary clubs and maybe 1 or 2 brands I like. All of a sudden there's all that content streaming into my feed. People want to show me what's going on in their life or in their business. And it's been estimated that at any point in time, the average Facebook user has 1,500 posts competing for their attention. So Facebook has to decide, okay, of that 1,500 posts that an individual could see at any point in time, which 5 or 10 are the ones that we're actually going to show that person that they feel, the algorithm feels, is most interesting. Again, if I believe as a Facebook user it's interesting content, I'll continue to use Facebook. If they fail to do that for me, I'll start to find other more interesting platforms to spend my time on. So yeah, it's all very much consistent with their business model. If they don't do it well, they're not going to thrive. So the way the Facebook algorithm works, it's a little bit like the analogy I would use is it's a little bit like a sound loop. You ever been at an event where somebody puts the microphone a little too close to the speaker and slowly it gets louder and louder and louder and louder? It's a feedback loop. That's kind of how Facebook's algorithm works. If you put a post out there and the algorithm detects that, hey, people are finding this to be an interesting post. Normally this organization doesn't get any likes or comments, but I can see that the algorithm will see that somebody either commented on a post or liked a post or maybe shared a post. The spidey senses start to work and Facebook figures, hey, there's something we're sharing there. And so it'll share that post with more and more people. And if more and more people find that post interesting by engaging with it with a comment, a share, or a like, it'll open the door even further and further and further. And that's the power of social media. If you have something really worth sharing and people like and feel it's shareable, Facebook will open the door to that post and broadcast it to as many followers as you have, and obviously the followers of your followers if in fact that post gets shared. So that's the power of Facebook that you've got to work to untap. So how can we do that? Now, nobody actually knows what the Facebook algorithm is. And I say nobody outside of Facebook. Obviously the programmers and whatnot know what it is. But that said, I mean, the experts in the field have identified some things that seem to work better to kind of open that door for your Facebook posts. I've talked about them already. One of them is, if your post generates immediate, strong emotional reaction, i.e., a love, a laugh, a yay, a wow, a sad, or whatnot, that's an earmark for Facebook to let them know that there's something going on with this post and it's worth sharing. Now, you notice I didn't say a like. A like's kind of too common currency these days. Likes are had on posts very, very easily, and therefore the algorithm doesn't really value a like on a post. They're looking for something more than just a like in order for it to identify a post that is worth sharing with others. Okay. The second thing, they're looking for comments, and more importantly, they're looking for comments on comments. That suggests to the algorithm that there's something going on here. There's a dialogue between users either debating or appreciating a post in some way. So comments are good. Certainly don't want to discourage those. But if you can get comments on comments, that's something that the algorithm will pick up as something that's valuable in a post. And again, as a result, open the door a little bit wider for it to be shared among more of your followers. If a post gets shared, that's really important. Shares are hard to come by. Nobody wants to bombard their fellow friends on Facebook with dozens of shares every day. Pretty soon you're going to be blacklisted by all your friends if you do that. So hopefully you have some discretion over what you share, and whatever you share is really good. So Facebook understands that. So if a post gets shared, it realizes that, oh, there's something special with this post. We'll reward it and we'll show it to more people. Now, if those shares get reshared, i.e. I share it and then a friend of mine shares it with another friend who maybe isn't even a friend of mine, Facebook tracks that whole chain of reactions. And the more shares it gets, the farther afield it goes, the more the algorithm understands that your post is worthy of sharing to more, well more than the 5% of followers that it would typically be shown to. And the last thing, Facebook does reward consistent contributors, okay? So that doesn't mean you have to come on to Facebook and post 5 things a day every day. But if you post 1 a day, and it's a quality post 1 a day, and you do it all the time, it values your account and it'll open the door a little bit more to the sharing of your posts. If you come on once a week and do a decent post just once a week, you're kind of starting with one arm tied behind your back compared to other organizations who are out there creating posts on a more consistent basis. Okay, so that's kind of the secret sauce to untapping the algorithm, to making it work on your behalf. On top of that, the content itself. Facebook really, really values video, and it's for a very simple reason. They want you and your eyeballs to stay on their platform as long as they possibly can. So if you've got a native video, i.e. a video that you take from your hard drive or your device and you upload to Facebook, they will value that and let the algorithm work on your behalf. It especially values videos that are longer than 3 minutes. Now, it's assuming you've got 3 minutes of interesting content, but if you do have a 3-minute video, that means that your users' eyeballs are stuck onto your screen for at least 3 minutes or more if it's good content, and they value that. They also value simple animation or GIFs, images, and tags. So if your content has any of those things, as opposed to just certainly an image with a few words, or image with no words, you've got a leg up. Okay. Any questions on that one? This is an important one. No? Okay. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how to drive engagement. We talked about this a little bit this morning. Always post with a purpose. It's quality over quantity. Think about who the target is. What's the key message you want to communicate? Why would our target be interested in that message? And what response do we want from them? Either an emotional response or an action of some kind. Go through this mental checklist each and every time you do a post. And if you don't have a clear answer, think about what you're posting. Ask yourself, does it need to be posted? Or tweak the post so that you're actually delivering something tangible that gives you a check on each one of these points. You know the answer. Okay. Something as simple as knowing when to post is also fairly important. So the way you read this chart is, days of the week are down the side, times of hours of the day are across the bottom. The dark colors indicate the areas or the times of days and days of the week where Facebook sees most of its engagement from its users. So long story short, basically says kind of weekdays around the middle of the day is when people seem to be more willing to engage with their Facebook content. So as a user, who knows, maybe I'm on my lunch break at work, I pick up my phone, I'm at my desk with my computer, I'm in the frame of mind to engage with content, to give it a like or a thumbs up or share it or post a comment. So if that's, this is fact, leverage that fact. And so when you plan your post, use a scheduling tool like Hootsuite or Buffer to schedule during those kind of prime periods. The last thing you probably want to do based on this chart is, put out your posts at 6 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday. People are not in the frame of mind to share or engage with your posts at that point in time, and therefore it's going to kind of go to waste. It's not going to get the lift you want it to see out in the social media landscape.
And could I
Yep.
jump in with a question that seems
Sure.
very relevant to this slide? and the previous one from Claudia Van Amersfoort. She says, are you able to plan posting a week or so ahead to prevent ad hoc posting, which can be time consuming? Thanks.
So absolutely, yeah. Facebook itself has the ability to, it has the mechanisms within it to schedule your posts. But as we mentioned this morning, if you were to use a free Hootsuite account, which gives you 3 free social media feeds, so you could have a Facebook feed, you could have a LinkedIn feed, you could have a Twitter feed, all for free. I believe Hootsuite allows you to schedule your posts. If not, I know Buffer definitely does. That's what I use. And so you can pick the time of day, the day of the week, the date that you want your post to be released. So, you know, you can do all your work on the weekend, line up your posts for the week, go away, and it's going to be automated through the use of one of those tools to drop your post when you feel it's going to get the most engagement. Okay, we talked a little bit about the power of video, so we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Number 1, use native video. And what native video is, a file that you upload. So a link within your post that takes somebody to a YouTube video is not native video. So Facebook doesn't want you leaving, or your followers leaving its platform to go over to YouTube. Okay. They realize it's part of reality. It does happen with some posts at some point in time, but ultimately, the more time Facebook users can spend on Facebook, that's a good thing in the eyes of Facebook. So don't put links to video, upload the video, make it part of your post, make it native in order for it to work harder for you. Number 2, pretty straightforward, add a title in the description. And most importantly, use captions. So often, maybe less so with now that we're in the middle of a pandemic, but people will be watching or looking at their social media feeds when they're in public, maybe on a train, bus, or at the work. Often they'll turn their video, their volume off, and they'll just be looking at the images. You can put captions on your videos. And again, Facebook has a built-in tool in order to do that. So every time you post a video that has anybody talking or any words of some kind, make sure you put the captions. It does it automatically for you. You don't have to type it in. It picks up the audio recording, does its best job at making sure that those captions are done right. It gives you the option of editing the automatically generated caption. I usually capture a little not typo or two, but maybe a missed word or two, and then you're off to the races. Literally, it takes less than a minute to get these captions downloaded and loaded on top of your video. So definitely worth doing it. Make the first 3 seconds work hard. So, you know, I'm not too sure how many on the screen today are Facebook users, but you've got lots of options. You're screening through the page. Unless those 3 seconds capture your attention, you're likely to keep on scrolling. So make the first few images or frames of the video work as hard as it possibly could with something that's interesting. Now that's obviously a very subjective point of view as to what's interesting. You know, usually images that are unique, colorful, vibrant, people and emotions, again, work very hard. Have that embedded in the first few seconds of your content, and there's a greater chance people are going to stick with it. If you're only planning to post to Facebook, use kind of 1.9 to 1 ratio or 2 to 1 ratio for your basically a landscape orientation. If you're planning to post to Facebook and Instagram simultaneously or use the same content for both channels, go to a 1 to 1 ratio. It's not a perfect format, but it certainly does make your life easier from a content management standpoint to just use that simple square box of an image, whether it's a picture or a video, to post to both concurrently. Okay. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but yeah, definitely got to respect privacy and copyrights. Don't steal other people's materials or use it illicitly. Certainly, if you're doing it on a Rotary platform, we want to be seen as good corporate citizens and good citizens in general. So ripping off other people's material, kind of a no-no. So just, yeah, if nothing else, make sure that you've got the right to use whatever you're using. I'm going to talk more about resources at the end of this presentation and where you can go to get great stuff that you can use without worry. Okay. Is this me? No, my last page, sorry. So the types of posts that get shared most often, not surprisingly, breaking news, heartwarming stories, advice, kind of behind the scenes stories, serialized stories, i.e. Little snippets of things that happen over a period of time that give you a full picture. That's the type of content that seems to be valued most often by Facebook followers and users. So if you can, try to take what we do in the world of Rotary and integrate those into those frames, if you will. If you can, there's a greater chance that people are going to be interested in it and interact with your content. And if they do that, of course, they're going to have more people looking at the content, and ultimately you're going to build a larger base of followers. Okay, I'm going to pass it over to James.
Thanks, Dan. So here we're going to be maximizing the power of images that you're going to be posting on your Facebook account. So Facebook posts with photos do get more engagement than those without them. Obviously, as you heard, you know the saying, pictures are worth words. So there's just plenty of reasons why posting a picture can be more efficient as well to post, and it's also more engaging. So it's a great way to share content. So types of images that generate strong emotional reactions. Sorry about that. I just went forward there. So again, yeah, images generate strong emotional reactions. These are images where your audience really feels something when they see the image. And from all these images here, you can get some sort of feeling when you look at them. And this is a great way to communicate with others, to really connect to that mutual feeling that we all share. So in terms of Rotary, what we don't really want to be sharing is posts that, again, make Rotary seem like we're all just about meetings. As you can see, the Zoom meeting and I always like that, because while this is the times that we are in, it's not just a Zoom meeting, right? We're all coming together to share opinions and to still keep that sense of community, which is a reason why a lot of us became Rotarians, is to belong to your community and to really serve your community. We really don't want to be sharing posts where in the bottom where we just have a check that we have. We want to show what we're doing with that money. So if you have a check that goes towards a certain foundation or a certain volunteer project you might be working on, show the volunteer project instead, so that you can really show what we're doing with the money that we raise. Again, if possible, follow the recommended image size for each type of photo. As Dan mentioned earlier, we want the 1.9 to 1 or 2 to 1 ratio. So we want to make sure that the photos that we post are nice and crisp when they're shown to our followers. I know that I've attempted to post some photos that were not, that when they would post, they looked a bit blurry, and we don't want that. We want our images to show what Rotary is all about. And it's not about posting photos that you can barely make out what's in the picture, or if there's text on it, you don't want the text to be blurry. You want to make sure that you can do the best job you can to post the most clear photos you can. So crop and color correct, it can go a long way. Making sure that your image is crisp and that you really capture all of what you want to show. Obviously, you do want to have focal points in your photos. So in the photo on the left, as opposed to the photo on the right, you can see that the cropping really shows you a closer image of the picture. Now, in some circumstances, when you do crop a photo, if you crop it too much, however, this can blur the image out. So this is a common thing that a lot of people will see when posting on Facebook. I know that whenever I'm about to make a post, I'm always making sure that the resolution is proper, because I know that you do want to make sure that you're capturing everything you can. but sometimes it's not always not always about that. You want to make sure that your images are still clear and crisp. And here, so as you can see, the difference between color correction, you can see that the photo on the right is much more clear, and it looks much more real to someone who's looking at the photo. That blue shade that's over the original picture, that can be easily fix, and easily fix to not do it, right? It only makes the photo look more natural. And this is a great way to demonstrate your skills as a photographer. Even you want to make sure that you're posting quality photos, that you actually put the extra few seconds to take care of that photo and to make sure it looks as good as possible. And finally, again, one image, one powerful image is better than many average images. Dan mentioned earlier creating GIFs. So creating GIFs are awesome. I know my mom loves GIFs. She loves sharing me GIFs. And if my mom loves GIFs, then everyone on her Facebook loves GIFs as well. So I think they love them too much sometimes. But it's true, GIFs are awesome. It's a cool way to combine photos to make a moving image. So it's a really cool way. It's a different way to post your content, and people love them. I mean, people love GIFs. And so Facebook tools do give you many options. Now, we won't go over all the options, but as you can see here on this slide, there's plenty of opportunities for you to post in different ways. And again, I'm going to use my mom as an example of this again, because before I showed her how to really use a photo album, she was posting one picture after another. So if she went on vacation, you were seeing post, just filling up your feed. And your followers can find this very distracting sometimes and find it, quite frankly, annoying, right? So you want to make sure that you're posting your photos in, if there's more than one, and you do want to post them in an album, you want to make sure that you actually are posting them in an album. And this can help you organize your own photos as well. So it's stuff that you can take to your Rotary Club, but in your personal life as well. And simple memes are good. Memes have definitely grown very popular. It's people love memes, but a meme doesn't have to be a joke, right? It's an image that has a caption on, and we can use memes for Rotary as well, as you see as the post that we have up on here right now. So memes are another great way to share content, and it really shows how in tune, I would say, with different trends Rotary is as well. A lot of people don't understand memes, but again, they're a very powerful tool for sharing content. And back to you, Dan.
Thanks, James. I'm just going to touch really quickly on the power of copy. Images are really powerful, but copy cannot be ignored. Yeah, it all kind of starts with a headline, whether it's integrated over an image or part of the copy that is associated with a post. Keep it short, for sure. Try to make sure as you draft the copy to make sure it's clear before clever. Sometimes we want to get cute and funny and whatnot, which is fine. I don't dissuade you from doing that. But ultimately, if there's a trade-off to be made between copy that is clear versus copy that is clever, go with clear, because not everybody's going to understand the clever. Headlines that use numbers, top 10, 3 easy. We see that type of an approach being used in the journals and that we walk by in the grocery store every day. There is a reason why, because they work. People are attracted to lists and ideas and frameworks for thinking about things. So use those if they make sense for your posts. They will generate more attention. And then finally, use emotional words, words that capture the heart, if you will. There's a little link I put on this page. It's a pretty interesting tool. You can actually input your headline or some copy into a frame within this website, and it'll gauge it on how emotionally compelling it is. And so if you have some options, you've got 2 or 3 headlines or something you're considering, go to the website, pop it in, and go with the one that seems to deliver the highest emotional score. I frankly don't know the algorithm behind their science, but it is based on, it's American, the American Marketing Institute. So there is, some credibility behind the website that goes into that analysis. At the end of the day, effective headlines are an art. It's not a science. If you can, certainly, test and tweak over time, either with the existing post or as you work with material over days and months or quarters to try to discern what's working harder for you than not. Lastly, we looked at this slide earlier this morning. This is, the brand voice for Rotary. If you can, try to create copy that's smart, compassionate, persevering, and inspiring. The more we do that consistently for each one of our posts across all our clubs, the more we're going to build the Rotary brand. This is what we want our brand to be. It's a compelling brand platform. Let's face it, Rotary's been around for over 100 years, over 1 million members. Our model works. So let's embrace that and let's speak in this brand voice whenever we can. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about the power of hashtags and tags. And this is an area for some that's maybe a little new. So I was going to start with hashtags. A hashtag looks like it's also called a pound. And you've probably heard about hashtags in the world of Twitter. So Facebook uses them too, but it's important to note that the hashtags that you have and you would use in Facebook are not the same ones that are linked to Twitter in any way, shape, or form, or linked to Instagram in any way, shape, or form. Each one of those is a silo of communication. So you got to understand that the hashtags in one silo do not necessarily work in another silo. Within the world of Facebook, what a hashtag basically do, it turns into a clickable link. So you may have, let's say hashtag love Rotary. That means that hashtag with the words love Rotary behind it will all go to a place. And so every post that anybody posts across the Facebook universe that has that hashtag, that post will end up in that place. So it creates a kind of an indexing system, if you will, for specific posts. So the power of that comes into the ability to create a hashtag that is important to you and your organization and to use it consistently across your posts. I gave an example this morning where we use hashtag 780 love Rotary as kind of the place where we put all the elevator pitches for why our members across our district love being a Rotarian. Okay, and so it's our own little place. We created it. Other people can use that place too. We don't own it. It's a public domain. Other people probably won't be interested in using it because it's kind of very specific to what we did. But that's what hashtags are all about. Kind of creating an indexing system that works for you and allows you to share your content to a place that you create or put your content into a place that somebody else creates. Okay. This can be very effective. I talked about it this morning. I'm in the Burlington area. We've got a community organization called Burlington Together, I believe. I think there's something like 12,000 members in this community association. One of our members, Clinton Howell, is a member of that association. So what he does is he'll share one of our posts to that association, which is powerful. It'll get like within a day, it'll get 3,000 views just from putting that post there. What I'll also do is I'll use the hashtag Burlington Together to get a post into its feed. So there's ways that you can move your content into the consciousness of others, even if they're not followers of your club's page. Okay, so that's hashtags. You can use hashtags or you can abuse hashtags. So on the left-hand side of the page, here's Rotary 7080 using a hashtag to talk about the Whitby Art Show. So all the posts that they did across their district related to the Whitby Art Show had that hashtag. Good work. Right-hand side of the page, we've got a business who feels that if they put every hashtag that's available within their community, that ultimately they will get more views. Well, in theory, that's right. But ultimately, if you look at that post, you kind of go, there's nothing compelling there. I'm just going to keep on scrolling. So it's not, after a while, too many hashtags is essentially working against you, okay? You want your hashtags to have context to the message. Whitby Art Show, and you look at the post, there's context. a picture of some food on a patio with every other post that's available to everybody in this community, no context. Okay, make sure you've got some context and limit your use. Okay, we've talked about that already. Tagging is something different. So tagging is the ability to essentially create a link between your post and either a page that you follow or a follower, or another fan page that is out there that may not even follow your page. So quite simply, if I created a post, I've done this a lot in the past few weeks or so, we're doing a fundraiser in Burlington. We're supporting the Salvation Army. So within all my posts, that I've created, I put a tag in for the Salvation Army. So I use the ampersand, and then I start typing the Salvation Army Burlington Community and Family Center. Boom, all of a sudden I've created a hyperlink between my post and the page of that organization. So it essentially allows me to drive traffic to their page, which is something I want to do because our fundraiser is helping them. On top of that, it lets that organization know that I'm talking about them. So it's a two-way street. It notifies them that they've been tagged in a post, and hopefully they appreciate what I'm doing. If they, let's say they get tagged in a post that's very, very negative, it allows them a channel of communication to go back to the person who posted and say, hey, what's the issue here? Maybe we have something to talk about or resolve, and maybe they can get that tag removed if it's a negative tag. Okay, so that's what tagging does. Similar, but very different than hashtags. I'm not going to go through that. Okay, we've talked a lot about creating content. The reality is that social media, you don't have to create every last post that you're going to put on your feed. There are tons of good posts out there within the Rotary world. I encourage clubs to go to our district Facebook page or to find stuff. Go to the Rotary International, go to John Huco's page. District 770, which is Toronto, or 790, which I believe is Hamilton area. You know, we have a lot in common with those folks. Go to those pages. There's probably content that you can borrow and want to share on your own club's page on a fairly regular basis. And, it may be just once a week or once a month, but it's a great place to go to find. Those are great places to go to find content. Other sources of content as well as inspiration. You can find stuff on the Brand Center, on Vimeo. You can find videos. They would be linked. They wouldn't be native necessarily, but if you're, if you don't have your own great native video, go to Vimeo or go to YouTube. And get the word out is Michael Caruso is our zone PR rep. He has his own kind of group where he posts content about what's relevant for Rotary and Rotarians. You can borrow stuff from Michelangelo on a regular basis. So long story short, all kinds of places where you can find great content. You don't have to develop it all yourself. Now, I am going to talk a little bit about development tools very, very quickly. If you have not yet heard of Canva, which is a cloud-based software that allows you to create graphic ideas, go to Canva. I only discovered Canva maybe a year ago, but I wish I discovered it 3 years ago. It is a fantastic tool. It has, for a pro account, which costs, I think, $15 a month or so, it's free for nonprofits. There's 60 million images that you could use without infringing anybody's rights. So you've got the right to use the images. It's got a vast library of video clips, all stock, as well as sound clips, all stock, that you can use, cut, manipulate any way you see fit to put onto your posts so that they're legal and they're engaging. Okay, definitely go out and check it out. If you go to YouTube and type in Canva, there are dozens, if not thousands of tutorials out there on how to use the platform. Literally, even if you're not so good at graphics, it'll turn you into a pro in no time. And it's very easy to use. Okay. PowerPoint, encourage everybody who hasn't yet kind of embraced PowerPoint. It's a very powerful tool, allows you to create a lot of things. I use PowerPoint a lot to create very short GIFs or MP4 videos. So I'll create a slide presentation. I'll click on the transformation from, slide 1, 2, and 3. So it's automated, and then I save that as a video. All of a sudden, I've got an action video on my hands, only using PowerPoint without any other software required. Windows 10 video editor is a nice freebie. Audacity is a nice music editor. It's free as well. And then Snip and Sketch, which is an inherent Microsoft tool. easily allows you to play and manipulate images if you're just looking to do something very quick and on the fly. So try to get comfortable with all these tools and you'll be a pro at graphics in no time. If you have any questions on any of them, please give me a call. I'd be happy to walk you through what I know. My rule in life is I try to learn the 20% that'll get me 80%. So I don't profess to be a pro on anything. Maybe the exception of PowerPoint, I'm pretty good on that. But the other things I know the minimum that kind of get me as far as I need to go. And so happy to share whatever that is with you. Okay, back over to James.
Yeah, so now we'll be looking at how club members can accelerate your success on Facebook. So making and keeping advocates. So this goes back to when we discussed how your initial reach of your Facebook page, you may think it's just your followers, but followers or friends of your followers also can see your Facebook posts, and if you share your posts correctly, it can really generate really high engagement. So, for instance, encouraging all your club members to like your Facebook posts, so that way when they like it or if they share the Facebook post, then that way it directly gets shared to their friends and they can see these images. We had a fundraiser for the Rotary Club of Halton. We did a fitness fundraiser, and each of us shared the fitness fundraiser, our marketing message, on their Facebook pages, and their friends saw the Facebook posts. Some of them signed up for it as well. So it's really powerful, to use your club members and to really get them to share the post so that it generates more engagement. Again, acknowledge, like all the comments your post receives. So when you do receive a comment, keep up the engagement with those comments too. Liking the comments, you can even reply to some of them if you'd like. And yeah, promptly reply to questions left within comments. We want to make sure that if there is any questions about your club, you're wanting to get to them right away, so that you're really engaging with those who are engaging with your post. And so quantifying the power of advocates. So here is where this is where you see the power of advocates, where club members on Facebook, for example, you would have 50 here. And if we look at friends per member and the exposure rate per post, you can see that this can get us a net exposure of 1,000 people. So where you may only have a few members on the Facebook page, that doesn't matter, because they're still able to get that post shared with their friends, with their followers, and they don't need to be directly following your page. And on the bottom, if you were to have 1,000 followers, so maybe more followers than you do have members on your Facebook page, the exposure rate is low, right? So you're only getting about 50 people that you're exposing your post to, whereas you were getting 1,000 when you really use the power of your club members. Now, in terms of with a strong exposure rate, 33%. So especially if you have a very powerful post, this post will then be shared to more individuals. So you will get a higher exposure rate. So it goes back to the quality of your post as well. And as Dan mentioned earlier, the content that you're actually including in your post is going to be very helpful in getting you that high exposure rate.
Thanks, James.
And back to you, Dan.
Just go back to the slide for just 1 second. So even under the best case scenario, let's say your club's got 1,000 followers and you got a great post, you're only going to reach 330 people. Compare that to your 50 club members who engage with your post, share it with their friends, and assume each of those club members has 100 friends. 1,000 is way higher than 330. So under the best case scenario, advocates are way more powerful than just letting the chips fly where they may with a strong post. Okay, sorry, I'm a numbers guy, lots of numbers. Okay, let's talk a little bit about boosting posts. So I am an advocate of boosting posts. Boosting posts is, let's call it an easy way to make sure you get your post beyond that 5% mark, and you're basically paying for eyeballs. But guess what? The cost for the eyeballs is relatively cheap. We just finished a campaign where we boosted a number of posts for a promotion. On average, it cost me about 1.5 cents to get my message out per person in the Facebook world. And I had the ability to target who I want those people to be. It's not necessarily the followers of your page, it's whoever I want to target using Facebook. So I certainly encourage people to boost a post, to create a small budget for campaigns that or messages that you really want to get seen and you don't want to have kind of late a chance. Okay, I'm going to walk you through just a couple of screens very quickly for those who've never boosted a post before. So here it is. Here's a grab from 99 Missions Facebook page. This is a promotional event that our club's running. So here I decide, okay, we didn't see a lot of engagement here, or I didn't see a lot of views. We still got some decent engagement. So that tells me, yeah, there was something worth seeing here. So click boost. All of a sudden, I'm going to spend some money and we're going to get more eyeballs on this thing. First thing you to see is what's your goal? What do you want this ad to achieve? And then, what kind of button do you want to put on this ad? So your goals are pretty straightforward. You can get more messages. In that case, Facebook is going to send your posts out to people who have a tendency to, respond to messages. Or if you want more video views, it's going to send your message out to people who tend to spend more time watching videos. Or if you want more leads, it's going to send your message out to people who have a tendency to click on posts to get more information. So in most cases, I say get more leads, because I use my posts as a way to generate traffic to a website that is selling an event or a promotional idea. And that way, I'm more assured that the people that see my posts are the people who are going to react in some way. What you choose will very much affect the metrics that get captured in Facebook Insights. I'm going to show you that in just 2 seconds. Then you click your promotional button. I usually, learn more, because again, my posts, or most of the posts we do across Facebook, are about driving people somewhere to learn more about an event or an activity of some kind. Okay, so you set that up first. Next thing you do is you pick your audience. Nice thing about Facebook and the fact that we're, all kind of located in some kind of city. I tend to go with a geographic audience. Okay. In my case, I define it as people living in Burlington. It gives me a kind of a little circle, and I could define the size of that circle from anywhere from, I think, 1 mile up to 50 miles. So it's not a perfect tool, but it's a simple tool that quickly allows you to geographically target the people you want. You could also, if you wish, create your own very detailed target. You're only interested in talking to people who are between the ages of 18 and 30, who have an interest in community service, who seem to be married. You have a whole criteria that you could select by choose people through targeting here for you to target the right people. Or you can target people who like your page, or the friends, those people, as well as the friends of people who like your page. My word of advice is to keep it very general. Let the algorithm, the Facebook algorithm, figure out who's going to react in a positive way to your page. Okay. And that's what you do if you keep your targeting general and geographic. You'll also find that if you use tight targeting, your cost per exposure is a lot higher. Targeting just geographically, like I said, $0.015. If all of a sudden I add in all these layers of definitions for my target, I could be spending 10 cents to find one person. Not worth it in my mind. Okay, so define how many days you want your campaign to run. Campaigns that run longer are more efficient because you allow the Facebook targeting algorithm to figure out what's working and what's not. Define the size of your budget, define where you want it to go. You have the option of using only Facebook, or you can have that same boost or that post that you started in Facebook go over into Instagram or into Messenger. I tend to keep Facebook stuff in Facebook and Instagram stuff in Instagram. So they auto check these for you. So you have to uncheck these boxes so that your Facebook message only gets boosted within Facebook. And click go, and then you're off to the races. So I'll be spending, in this case, $45 over 4 days, and I'll be reaching anywhere between 1.6 and 4,000 people or so, and it'll tell me how many clicks I expect to generate with that budget. Okay, so boosting is very, very simple. I didn't talk about Facebook advertising because Facebook advertising is basically a more complex way to boost. It deserves its own hour of time, which we don't have here today. I found boosting, although it has some trade-offs in terms of what it can do and it cannot do, it's simple, it's fast. That's what I tend to use. Okay. But I don't discourage you from using Facebook advertising if you want to spend the time and effort to fine tune some of your advertising and promotional dollars. Okay, a little time check here. I've got 5 minutes left. We don't have many more slides to go. I just want to talk about a few things really quickly. I'm all about measurement. You probably understand that from now. Facebook does make it fairly easy to figure out what's going on. There are a raft of tools within the Facebook world. So I tend to use the simplest tool, which is on your page, on the left-hand side of the page, there'll be something called Insights. And they're going to give you some basic information about how your page is doing and how your posts are doing. You can also use Facebook Creator Studio to get those insights. You can use Facebook Business Manager to get those insights. Each one of those is a bigger, more robust tool that has more bells and whistles that allow you to manage, manipulate, change timeframes to get insights that you want. I'm not going to go there today. We're going to keep it drop dead simple. Just use the Insights tab on your page to get what you need. So look for it, click on it. You're going to be brought to a page that looks something like this, that gives you some basic metrics over a time frame. On this page, it's 7 days. You can also look at 28 days. You can also look at yesterday or today. So there's only 4 options that you got, but they're usually good enough for most clubs. It's going to let you see what's happening on your page, how many page likes you got, how many page views you got, how far your posts reach within that 7-day period. So some good stuff you should be looking at to make sure that what you're doing is delivering some kind of reaction out there within the Facebook world. Okay. What I tend to do, again, this is still within that insights area, I tend to go scroll down the page and it lets me know how my individual posts have done. So it's going to show me the posts. It's going to tell me the type of post it was, and it's going to say how many people did that post reach. And it could be either paid reach, which is the dark orange, or organic reach, which is the light orange. And it's going to give me how many times it was clicked and the types of reactions it generated. So I'll click on that. Okay, and I'll see data that looks something like what we see on the screen here. And I'll focus in on a couple of things. First of all, I only really look at this either the first day or two once it starts running or once it's all said and done. And I'll look, if it's a video that I thought was pretty good, I'll try to figure out how many people saw the video for 15 seconds or more, i.e. they spent some time with it, more than 3 seconds. I'll identify how many people were reached in total by this video. I'll try to identify how many people clicked on a link within my post to get more information. So in this case, I was trying to encourage people to go to the website for this event. So clicks are really important because that's where people can go to register. And then finally, I'll look at engagement scores. You know, what was shared, what type of engagement did it get, what type of reactions did it get, and as well as what was the distribution of the reach. So all this information is available on that Insights tab. I do this when I'm running a campaign where I'm spending money fairly rigorously because I want to make sure I'm a good steward of my club's money. And I want to be able to show them at the end of the day what we got with our expenditure. So I'll take that data and actually I'll move it into a very, very simple spreadsheet. I don't expect you to read this, but I'll basically list the ad, when it started, how much did I spend, what was my reach, both free and paid. Then I'll figure out what did it cost me to reach a person for a specific post or on average. What did it cost me to generate a click to take them from that post onto the landing page where I wanted to take them? And if I do that consistently, I can figure out what worked hard and what didn't. Here's a great example. So we had March Break, was probably the best post that we did. It cost me 36 cents per click. So 36 cents to bring people to a website where I was hoping to encourage them to sign up for an event where the registration fee was $90. So pretty good return on the investment. If you can get that 36 cents working for you, you got a good return there. If you just compare that to, let's say this post, which was called Mystery Mission, where I used a targeted audience, my cost per click was $2.80. So it's like, okay, well, I learned very quickly because that was the first post I did that I don't want to do any more targeting. I'm going to keep my audience very general, and I'm going to let the algorithm work out and figure out which is the most efficient way to generate clicks. And that's what it did for me. But even if it's not $2.80, let's say it's 68 cents. 68 cents is almost twice as much as 36 cents. So I want to spend my money efficiently. So after a while, I only started reusing or reposting posts that I know had a good click-through rate and could be efficient for my club. Okay. All this information on this screen is available by clicking that little Insights budget button on your Facebook page. So you don't have to use any sophisticated tools. You just have to kind of hunt and peck for the data, put it down in a spreadsheet, and you're in business. Okay. That is it. So a little more content this afternoon. I know I talked fairly quickly. I apologize for that, but I knew I had a lot to cover. I'm not sure we've got time for questions, but before we go, I do want to remind you once again to tune in May the 20th for our membership growth presentation. We're going to be talking a lot about what the district will be doing with Facebook, Instagram, Google AdWords, as well as LinkedIn, and how individual clubs can kind of piggyback on what we plan to do at a district level if they choose. Okay. Over to you, Patricia.
Thanks, Dan and James. I'm going to apologize, first of all, to everybody. We have no time for Q&A because we have to leave this meeting very shortly and go to the closing plenary session with District Governor-elect Rudy. You see Dan and James's contact information.